Okay, so the first script we'll set up is the script for this button. So the script is going to be written so that when the player clicks this button, it opens or closes the GUI. So we want to go ahead and close the GUI because it's always going to start already closed. Okay. So in order to close it, you just need to click on the main Screen GUI, okay, that you created, and uncheck the enabled button, and you'll see the whole thing disappear. Okay. And now this one I had open, so this is the one I had already created. I'm gonna close it. Okay. All right. So I am going to move the ones I had already created out so that they don't interfere, okay, with what we're doing now. Okay, so we had inserted a script into the button GUI's text button. So if you double click the script, it now pulls up here so you can work on it. Okay. All right. Exiting out of a script doesn't matter. Whatever you've already typed in there will remain in there. Okay. Okay. You just don't want to exit out of Studio until you've saved. All right. So for the first script, the first thing we are going to write in our script is our variables. Okay. So in writing script, a variable is a name associated with a value. And so for our first variable, we're going to write local player. This is going to be a variable for the player, game.players.local player. Okay. On the left-hand side of the equal sign is the name of your variable, and on the right side of your variable is the value. And for a variable, you're setting the name so that it can be used later on in script. And this is kind of like the definition. Okay. So the value points to the hierarchical structure of the setup. It points to the player. So we know that in a Roblox game, here's players. It is in the game, and we want to get the local player. Okay, so that's why we wrote game.players.localPlayer. Okay. So when we press play in a game, the players show up in players. So I'll just press play real quick and show you. See, I'm the player in the game right now, and there I am. That is why we're writing game.players.localPlayer. Okay, following the hierarchy in the Explorer window, because Roblox follows that type of structure of parent-child. And right now the player, the local player, is a child of players. Okay. All right, the next is going to be local GUI equals player.player GUI. Okay. So this is defining the player GUI. Okay. So again, I'm going to hit play to show you. Play. And we're saying, look at the player. Well, we already defined the player right here. Okay. But we also know that this is the player. Right now, the only player in the game. You see the player by going to game.players and then looking at the players in here. And then the player GUI. So if I click on the arrow on the player, here's player GUI. Okay. So that's what this is going to represent in this script. GUI is this, player GUI. Okay. Go back to the script. Okay, the next variable is going to be local SGUI equals GUI dot screen GUI. Okay, so what this is going to point to, again, let's hit play. And we know that to get to the player GUI, we have to go to players, then the player GUI, and now we're looking for the screen GUI, which is in player GUI, right here. Okay. Now something I want to point out to you is we created the screen GUI and starter GUI, so you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you using starter GUI? Well, because when you play a game, the GUIs are going to be specific to the player. Okay, so in this case, you have to always look at player GUI. So this moves into the player when we press play. And that's why we're not going to reference starter GUI. If you were to write player.starter GUI, it's not going to work. Okay, so this just kind of holds it here, and it knows to move it up to the players whenever the game is played. Okay, so remember this when dealing with screen GUIs. Okay. Local button equals script dot parent. Okay, so we put the script in the button. This is the script, and this is the parent of the script. So that's why we're defining the button as script.parent. And when we hit play, it's the same. It's just been moved up here. But if we go into the player GUI and then the screen GUI, and then we start opening up everything up, we know that the button is still set up the same. So the script's parent is the text button. Okay. It doesn't change the structure. The only thing that changes is instead of it being starter GUI, it's player GUI. Okay. All right. All right, next we're going to write a function. And this is a specific type of a function. It's an event function. And an event function, let me write it real quick just to show you. We're going to write button.mouse button one click colon connect open and close parentheses function open and close parentheses. Then put your cursor before the final closing parenthesis and press enter. And then it throws an end. And this is an event function. So what's going to happen is we're going to write code that we want to run or execute every time the player clicks the button on that GUI. So it's an event function because it's a function that's going to be called when the event happens. And the event in this case is the mouse button one clicks that button. Okay, and remember on our screen GUI we had a bunch of buttons. Those are the buttons that when they're clicked, this script is going to run, and whatever code we have written inside of this function is going to be what happens. Okay. All right, so now we're going to write if SGUI dot enabled equals false, then, okay, did I misspell that? Yes, okay. All right, this is an if statement. An if statement starts with if, and then a condition it needs to be met as true. And if that condition is true, the code inside of the if statement will run. So the condition is this right here, SGUI.enabled equals false. So if this is true, if the SGUI enabled is false, then the code in here is going to run, okay? And right now, the SGUI that we created is not enabled because we don't have it checked off. So that is going to be true, okay? All right, so if it's false, then we want the SGUI.enabled to now equal true, okay? And that's what's going to check it, and then that GUI is going to become visible. All right, then we're going to write else, okay, SGUI.enabled equals false. So if it's not true, then we want it to be false. But if it is, then we want it to be true. So all you have to do is write a else and then put the exact opposite. So let's test this out. And it works. Okay. Excellent. So that script is done. Okay. Now we are going to write the scripts for each of those text buttons. Okay. And not text buttons, but yeah, each of these text buttons, the ones that we have in here that we could either call button or it could be the name of the clothing piece. I'm going to play, and each of these buttons now needs a script. Okay. Now the script is going to be similar for each of these. I'll show you a script for the pants and a script for a shirt, even though we haven't set up a shirt. We'll do a script for this one as the pants and this one as the shirt. And then the script is going to be the same for each of these. So if you put pants here, it'll be the pants, same as the pants script. If you do shirts all here, they'll all have the same type of shirt script. Okay. Okay. Before we close out of this one that we just wrote, right here next to this if statement, I'm going to write if statement. When you put the two dashes in front of something, that grays it out so that you can type anything you want there, and it's not going to interfere with your script. It knows not to even try to look at this. It knows it's just a note. Okay, you may already know that, but I'm just pointing it out in case you don't. All right. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this because we don't need it up anymore. And we will, while we're doing this, I'm going to enable this so I can make sure I grab the correct one that we're working on. Okay, that's the one I'm going to do. So we're going to do the pants script. So I'm going to double click that script. It's a local script. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that I have the pants grabbed. Okay, so this one is set up on the beginning similar to the button. So to make this easier and quicker, I'm going to copy the variables over. Okay. Because we're going to work with these same variables and these same objects for this script, so that makes it a lot quicker and easier. We do have a couple of other variables though to set up, some new ones, so we're going to do those now. Local pants template equals button.pants template. Okay, so remember when we set the pants up? Well, that's the pants. Here's the button, here's the pants, and here's the pants template, following the hierarchical structure of parent-child. Okay. And then local character equals player.character. Okay, so we had already set up the player variable, which is why we can just simply use player. And then every player has a character. So let me show you. This is the player, and this is the character. Okay, so the player contains info about the user account, but the character is the character, the model. The character model is the avatar in the game. Okay. Okay, so our variables are set up. So we're going to do another event function, similar to the one we did before. Button.mouse button one click :connect function open and close parentheses. Then move the cursor in front of the very last closing parenthesis and press enter. Okay. And then we are going to now type character dot pants template equals pants template. So when that button is clicked on that GUI, the pants that are saved on the pants template becomes the pants on the character. So let's test this and see what happens. And it worked. Okay, very good. All right. Now it started just now with this open because I have it open right now, which is fine. I'll close it whenever we finish with the scripting. I just needed to see which one I was working on, since I said I was going to do this one and then this one as if it was a shirt. Now in order to have this work though, I need to go grab a shirt and insert it. So to do this quickly, I'm just going to grab one that I had already made. Since you know how to do that now, I don't need to show you that again. I'm just going to grab one of them, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into here. First I'm going to delete this one, and now I'm going to paste. Okay, and I don't have an image set up for it because I didn't set it up, but that won't break this. So we don't need to do that yet. So to do the shirt one, let's just copy everything from the pants one and paste it, and then we'll just change a couple things, okay, into the local script. And we're working on a shirt. So we just need to change this to say shirt template. And right here we need to change this to say shirt dot shirt template. Okay. And this is going to be shirt template. And this is going to be shirt dot shirt template. Okay. So let's test this real quick. Okay, so the shirt and the pants. And then I'll close this and it works. Okay. Awesome. So everything works. See how easy it was? That wasn't too hard. And now you know how to set up a GUI that when you click the button, it will put the clothes, the shirt or the pants onto the player in the game. And I hope this helps you to do exactly what you were looking to do in your game. And I thank you for joining and watching the video. All right, that concludes this tutorial teaching session, and I hope this helps you with what you're trying to accomplish. Thanks for joining.